It sounds like a cliche, but to everything, there is a season. To everything, there's a time and a purpose under heaven. And yes, that's not just a song from the 60s, it's actually scripture from the Bible. But they turned into a song in the 60s that is in every movie that takes place in the 60s. It's good wisdom to live by. One of the many things that we do, both as Christopagans and as Druids, is connect to the seasons and the cycles of the natural world. Let's talk about that together as we walk down creation's paths. Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and priest of Bridget.
Hello, I'm Brian. I am a Christopagan Druid and sous chef to the Dagda. Cracks up every time.
It does it every time.
I wanted to put in a quick note. Christians follow the seasons and the cycles as well. The priests have the seasons and cycles. They follow that when they're structuring their sermons that they give every Sunday.
I'll talk about that a little bit because some of the holidays that we're talking about and celebrations that we're going to be talking about were subsumed into St. Lucy's Day, Ladies' Day, and Michaelmas. In summer, you have your Lent. In spring into summer,
Easter season, but I know it's properly termed Lent.
Easter season is after that.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Lent and Easter season. Yeah. That's right.
As the Imperial Church always says, you must suffer to have joy.
Wait, it's the sad season of no ice cream.
So as we get ready to talk about this, so just a reminder, be sure to like and subscribe or follow or whatever the terminology is, wherever you're listening to us. We create new Christopagan Druid content every day, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss anything. We've got a lot of good topics coming up. A lot of them have been inspired by questions that you've had. Don't forget to send us those questions so that we can answer them and provide you with the information that y'all are looking for. This one is hard for me. It's hard for me for a very simple reason. My brain doesn't like the outside.
The big fireball in the sky that tries to bring doom to...
I feel like it's my own particular issue that I have with this, and that I used to live outside all the time. I was never inside. And then a lot of injuries and stuff, and it weighs on me to go outside in some ways because I start thinking about all the things I can do. I see a tree and I want to climb it. Like, it is my natural native born instinct. I want to get to the top of that tree. And my body, no, this is not going to happen. I know a lot of people struggle with various issues of being outside. Allergies are huge reasons that people don't like going out. The weather has been a big one, with climate change making the seasons all wild and crazy. Quite a lot of people live in cities and do not have ready access to the natures. And so we can feel really divorced from our natural world and the natural life.
In addition to that, just being very busy. Like we went through a period in our lives when we were so busy, we were too busy to even notice the season changes. And by the time we lifted our head up, we're like, oh, crud, Christmas just happened a week ago. Well, maybe we should celebrate that. Happy New Year, by the way.
That did happen once.
It happened one year. It was really sad. People get so busy. They're basically pushing on that grinding wheel so hard with their head down, they can't even tell the day has turned to night, has turned to day, never mind noticing the cycle of summer to winter to spring back into summer. It all becomes a blur and monotonous.
Monotony is a big problem with this. Every day feeling like the same as the other day. I feel like this is why Halloween has really become a big thing. Like, I think back when I was a kid, we kids loved Halloween because candy and games and costume parties and stuff. I don't remember adults being this into Halloween. But also, when I was a kid, there were a lot more fraternal organizations and a lot more church attendance. People were getting more of that community seasonal experience than a lot of us do in our modern world. Here's the fun thing. I've actually said this to somebody as a bad joke. I am saying it now as a bad joke, so please don't be offended. But join us on the pagan side, and you get a new holiday every 6 weeks. And that sounds flippant, but it's really as important to mark out the seasons. We could spend literally forever talking about that, because we could talk about how the days break down and all of the different cycles of the day, and learning your daily cycle, learning your hourly cycle, learning the various cycles that you have within your day, within your week, There's so many cycles we could break down. We're just going to focus on 3 of them because they're the 3 biggest ones that I think all of us can connect to easily.
Biorhythm will have to be a whole separate episode.
It's probably be something we bring Glory in on. Because
Yeah.
she and I have talked about that a lot. If you actually go back to the older live streams I
Yeah.
did with Glory, we bring that up a lot in there. We're going to be talking about the cycle of the moon, the cycle of the sun, which is actually the cycle of the earth around the sun. It gets confusing to people when you say the cycle of the earth, and the cycle of the seasons. It works easier to think about this as the sun, the moon, and the earth.
Yeah.
Because we like threes, and to say the sun, the earth, and the earth is more that same poetic ring. The reason we're picking these 3 is they punctuate the year in a very special way. So the moon, about every 28, 29 days, goes through a full cycle from new moon to new moon. The seasons go through their cycles, and the sun goes through its cycles. And as someone coming from an Irish pagan tradition, the seasons don't start on the solar days. The solar days are the middle of the seasons. So we're going to be talking about the moon phases, the quarter days, and the cross quarter days. You may have heard those terms. We'll explain that more as we go into it. The cycles of the moon help us connect to a basic rhythm of life. They are great for helping us remember things. Each cycle lasts about a week. There's actually a good argument that our week actually comes from watching the moon. That's why the 7-day week is fairly ubiquitous. It's not universal. Again, it's because it depends on how you calculate the phases of the moon, which is why we do see some 6-day weeks and some 7-day weeks in earlier calendars. But it's fairly universal to see a 7-day week because of the way the cycles of the moon break up. It's not exactly 7 days, but we're not going to fight over this. The moon phase helps keep us in a cycle of remembrance. It also helps us remember our rising power and our abilities to let go, to fill ourselves up and to empty ourselves out. It is the long cycle of breathing, the monthly cycle of breathing, if you will, where everything comes in and out and in and out. We join into that ebb and flow. When I was putting together A Dream of an Oak Church, which you can find over on wisdomscry.com, it's linked right from the homepage, I wrote a triad for each of the elements here because I think it's good to have something to meditate on and really think about. So the triad for the moon is 3 prizes of the moon's turning: the crescent's promise, the full moon's glory, and the dark moon's wisdom. The crescent moon is always the gateway. It's the gateway either taking us towards the full moon or towards the new moon, depending on which crescent we're in. This will be important later when we talk about the sun as well, because of how they're easy to understand. The crescent moons, the half moons, whatever you want to call them, the quarter moon, are the transitions. The full moon and the dark moon are the destinations. As practitioners of creation spirituality, we like to attribute the 4 paths of creation spirituality to each of these quarters. So the Via Positiva is the time of harvest. It's the time of bringing in and collecting, because we're learning the art of savor, awe, wonder, hospitality, all of those things that I think of really in this harvest season that we've been going through. So that is the 3rd quarter moon. The Via Negativa is the place of silence, letting go, letting be. It is discovering our spaciousness, our openness, and thus is very obviously connected with the new moon or the dark moon, which are technically different things. We may do an episode on the moon later. I will spend a little bit more time talking about the difference between the dark moon and the light and the new moon. Easiest way to understand that: the dark moon is the day before the new moon, when there is no moon, and technically the new moon is when the first sliver of light can be seen on the edge of the moon. But most people don't count the difference between the two. The 1st quarter moon is dedicated to the Via Creativa, the time of creativity, creation, of cosmogenesis, of bringing the world together, our participation with the divine energies to make the world a better place. And the full moon is connected to the Via Transformativa, the time of celebration, of justice making, of peacemaking, and the rest. Going through this cycle every month isn't because you only experience that path during that time of the month, but it's a good time to remember it and to focus in on it. If you're somebody who, like us, uses a lot of lunar energy in your magic, then anything associated with one of those 4 paths will probably work better in that time of the moon. We will be talking about magic much more later.
When you think about the Via Creativa, the first quarter moon, it's that inhaling of breath. It's that transition. It's like when you're getting ready to be creative, it's that big inhale, that surge of energy you feel as you engage in that creative act.
It's that influx of Alwyn.
Influx of Alwyn. Yeah, the symbolism is just so beautiful. And the same for the third quarter moon, when you're exhaling as the Via Positiva, because all in wonder, it's that breath of life.
Whether or not you're working with the more subtle energies of the world, or you're just doing this as a cyclical practice, it really does help you to remember. I agree with a lot of the saints and sages that the biggest flaw of humanity is that we forget.
Yeah.
We are forgetful beings. It's what we do. By taking this time every month, we do it here on the podcast. We actually dedicate an episode of the podcast to the moon phase as it's going through and discuss a topic related to that path and the time that we're in and the topics that we're talking about that's related to that path on there. It keeps us from forgetting, because when we're in the Via Positiva and things are coming in, we can forget that things are going to go out again.
Or it's easy to get overwhelmed and go, I've got too much. What am I going to do? It's okay.
It's also easy in the Via Negativa
Yeah.
to think that you're never going to have anything ever again. Remembering that these are cycles. It's not even that one follows the other. Matthew Fox has this wonderful saying where he says that the Via Creativa is born out of the union of the Via Positiva and the Via Negativa. So out of that bliss and out of that silence, creativity is born. That is a beautiful, powerful image, that it takes the union of both and learning to find one in the other and to let that energy guide you through so that you don't get stuck in a rut, because a lot of us do. It's a wonderful series of reminders. If you want to take on a wonderful practice that goes with this, the new moon is Rosh Chodesh, is the head of the month, typically governed by women. If you want to take that role upon yourself, more power to you. But this is the time to welcome in the Shekhinah, the glory of God, into the house. There's some wonderfully beautiful rituals out there that are dedicated to this. It adds just a whole other flavor and power to the cycle. The cycle of the moon is this very short cycle, once a month. We get 12 to 13 of these a year, depending on the year. The cycle of the sun lasts long. We're going the whole 365. We are marking out 4 important days. That would be the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes. This is the one I really have a hard time connecting with, because my brain is constantly flip-flopping. We just celebrated the autumnal equinox here in the northern hemisphere, and my brain, because I have quite a few friends in the southern hemisphere, just celebrated the vernal equinox. It's spring there now. They just celebrated mid-spring and we're celebrating mid-autumn. My brain keeps flipping back and forth, and I think that is a beautiful part of this. What is the triad for the cycles of the sun? The 3 gates of the sun, the slumbering dawn of Yule, the twin gates of day and night, and the sweltering dawn of midsummer. We're going around the wheel of the sun because our year starts at Samhain. It starts November 1st. That's our spiritual religious year. It starts November 1st. So we are in that Via Positiva heading towards the Via Negativa. The first of the sun festivals is Yule, or Alban Arthan, the time or season of Arthur, or time or season of the bear. This is a time of darkness, of waiting for the child of light to be reborn, to bring hope back in to our life. It's often around the coldest time of the year. Here, actually, it's a very good mark of midwinter, because our snows come just before and just after this period of time here where we live. So it really does feel like midwinter. December 21st in the northern hemisphere. It's around June 21st in the southern hemisphere. This is a time of gathering together, of family, of new things starting. It's the darkest night of the year, the longest night of the year. On this darkest night of the year, we are planning and working to bring back the light. It's a good time for us to be thinking about what we're going to be doing. This is where a lot of the traditions for New Year's resolutions come from, things like that. Remember, Yule and Christmas were 12-day celebrations that started on the 25th. December 25th is the first day of Christmas. If you know the song, 12 Days of Christmas, the 25th is the first day of Christmas. First day of Christmas. January 6th is the 12th day of
the
Christmas.
Feast of the Epiphany.
We don't practice the 12 days that much anymore, but it is a beautiful practice. I highly recommend it. great thing to get into. We might do something special this year for the 12 days of Christmas. We've been thinking about the future, and that's one that keeps popping up in my head. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but it will not be song related because there's a lot of weirdness there.
You mean you don't want us leaping for one of those episodes?
No.
That would be a very sad sounding episode.
The second festival is Alban Eilir around March 21st in the Northern Hemisphere, around September 22nd in the Southern. This is the light of the earth. Spring is sprunging. We're seeing the first of the new life coming into the world. This is a gateway. Remember how we said with the moons that the quarter moons were gateways, they're doors leading you from one place to the next. These are the equinoxes, and they're doing the same thing. They're gates leading us from one season into the next season, thus bring a lot of power with them when they do. So this is our mid-spring celebration. We are bringing new life in. We are planting our fields. We are planting our hopes, our wishes, our dreams. We're preparing for the year to come. Next is Midsummer, or Alban Hefin. This is around June 21st from the Northern Hemisphere, December 21st in the Southern. This is the light of the shore. This is where things start getting beautiful here. Just did the light of the earth. This is the light of the shore. We've now gone up to the edge. Everything is warm. The summer heat is beating down on us. The crops are hopefully growing. This is the glory of the year, the time of the fertile land, where light is in its fullness. That takes us forward to the Feast of Ingathering, or Alban Eifed, which we just had, which is September 22nd in the Northern Hemisphere, and March 21st in the Southern. This is the light of the sea. We are now at the next gate. We're heading towards winter. The days are going to be getting shorter and shorter from now on. They're equal in time now, but they're going to be getting shorter and shorter. And here we're celebrating our harvest and our care for the earth. These are powerful days to celebrate. I didn't do it this year because I was not feeling well at the time, but it is traditional to perform a vigil and the night before the summer solstice. It's one of the easiest vigils you'll ever do because it's the shortest night of the year. You sit up in meditation and prayer, sometimes in ritual, depending on how you want to celebrate it, until those first rays of the sun come over the horizon and you welcome them. You say your prayers, you do your ritual, then you're allowed to go to bed. It's a powerful thing to do, to sit and wait for the first rays of the summer sun to come over the hill. It is a powerful, powerful ritual. I highly recommend it. But it does help us be connected to the flow of our earth around the sun. Now you'll notice, like our Wiccan siblings, I didn't talk about the other 4 festivals because these festivals in the wheel of the sun connect us to the earth. The other 4 festivals connect us both to the seasons and our devotional holidays dedicated to the various gods, guards, and guides of our tradition. This is the devotional wheel of the season. Of course, we have a triad, the 3 gifts of fire, blessing the new, opening the gates, and harvesting the yield. The cycle of the 4 seasons, or the 4 fire festivals, they were all traditionally celebrated with bonfires. That is a beautiful thing to do. The first Celtic holidays I ever celebrated were the bonfires at Bealtaine. I have so many fond memories of everyone getting together for Bealtaine and just all night, the dancing, all around a bonfire at a friend of ours' house. You can light a candle. You can turn on an electric candle. You can just turn on a light. Whatever is safest where you are, that's fine. The 4 festivals are Samhain. There is some debate over whether or not you can move these depending on the hemisphere you live in. I tend to believe, okay, sure, you can move because Bealtaine and Samhain are related to each other and could be flipped depending on the season you're going into. And the same for Imbolc and Lughnasa.
I would think they would be flippable too, just because they're the seasons. Where one is entering into winter, to not flip it just seems silly.
I guess you'd say the fundamentalism of the Reconstructionist you're talking to.
Yeah, which you could tell by my tone. I'm like, ooh, you said the bad F word.
Yeah.
Fundamentalism.
Yeah.
I ascribe to the theory of the less you've read of your holy books, the more fundamentalist one becomes.
These connect us to our gods, guides, and guardians. The first festival is Samhain. That's November 1st through 3rd in the Northern Hemisphere and May 1st through 3rd in the Southern. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, Samhain is the 31st. It's Halloween. Celtic days, like Jewish days, are reckoned from sundown to sunrise. It's not sundown to sundown, not sunrise to sunrise. The day starts when the sun goes down. So that eve is the beginning of Samhain. Once the sun goes down, you're spiritually, if you will, in November 1st. That is the beginning of Samhain. Samhain is dedicated to the Morgan. We could do an entire podcast about her. I've said before, I have some controversial views about the Morgan. I don't think they're all that controversial. In fact, I recently was reading some books by Morgan Daimler, and they seem to agree with at least the possibility of the things that I believe about the Morgan being true. So they're not as controversial as I thought, but the Morgan is the queen of the Tuatha Dé Danann. She is a very complicated subject, and we are not going to spend a lot of time in this episode on her.
Especially with Samhain coming up.
Yeah,
right?
it's hard for me not to go off and talk
Yeah.
about the Morgan for a long period of time. We're not going to do that right now. Most notably, this is one of the two festivals where the spirits get very active. Now, they get active at all of the festivals, but Samhain and Bealtaine, they are out. Be that the fair folk, or on the second day of the festival, our ancestors will come home. It is traditional to leave out some bread, to actually set a place for them at the table and give them a portion of the meal that you're sharing, and to remember those ancestors that have come before you of your milk line, your bloodline, and your landline, which I believe we've talked about already.
That's coming up.
This is a time for connecting to our ancestors. It is a time when peace was declared throughout the land and gatherings were called. Imbolc, which we have a wonderful episode that we did with Glory on the channel, and a couple others joined us, is February 2nd in the Northern Hemisphere, August 1st in the Southern. It is dedicated to my beloved Bridget. This is a time of new life. There are so many things on this day, including leaving out your veil for Bridget to bless so that you will have healing and health throughout the year. There are lots of things dedicated in Imbolc, but this is the beginning, the connection to the land, our hopes, our dreams, new life. When celebrated in families, typically the eldest daughter is put in charge of the Imbolc celebrations. She actually is the maiden that is celebrated and often treated as the goddess herself. The third festival is Bealtaine. We have a wonderful episode about that on the channel. This is May 1st through 3rd in the Northern Hemisphere and November 1st through 3rd in the Southern. This, in our practice, and some others, is dedicated to the Dagda. We don't know really what Bealtaine was. We know it was celebrated. We know that it was a fertility festival. Very few records have survived about it. One of the reasons, other than just our personal relationship with the Dagda, that makes us feel that it is connected to him is because of his relationship to the Morgan. This feels like the festival where she comes to him, because he goes to her at Samhain. There's a symmetry there, but again, this is in our practice. There are a lot of ways to practice Bealtaine. It is a glorious festival where you are celebrating life and love, and all the spirits of the family are coming into the house. It is a wonderful celebration of life.
Also the kind of party that's Dagda's vibe.
Oh, it really is.
You
So
know.
much of it feels like somewhere there's a lost track that talks about
Yeah.
how this day was dedicated to the Dagda.
The cauldron's out and everybody's feasting. The harp is playing and everybody's celebrating.
Is dancing, yeah.
Is dancing, yeah. Hopefully the staff is bringing blessings of life. It also fits with the symbolism of summer, because this is the beginning of the summer season and welcoming it in.
The fourth festival, which we recently put up an episode on the podcast for, so you can go back and look at that. Lughnasa. Lughnasa takes place on August 1st in the Northern Hemisphere and February 2nd in the Southern. This is dedicated to Lugh, my beloved Lugh, and his mother Talchu, who sacrificed her life for the fertility of the land. He dedicated a festival to celebrate this, where games were declared and a great time of ingathering, of celebration of all things harvest and joyful. Like I said, we just did an episode about that.
Fall in the time of harvesting.
These are the main cycles of the year that we practice. Like I said, there are a lot of others that we could go into. We didn't talk about the planetary days or any of that stuff. A lot of people are really drawn to that. We didn't talk about the zodiac or any of that, which a lot of people are also drawn to. And these are the ones that are most important to us. They are simply because they help us connect to our own spirits, to our friends and family, and to the natural world around us. Those connections can be very fraught and frayed in this modern world, where everything is conspiring to tear us apart. If you have not celebrated any of these festivals, Samhain's coming. you've actually found a great time to get started because the first of the festivals, Samhain, beginning of the new spiritual year, is approaching. We are going to be talking a lot about Samhain in the upcoming month, a lot of the themes that are dedicated to it as we approach this wonderful festival. We're going to be talking about some spooky stuff. We're going to be talking about some magical stuff. We're going to be talking about our ancestors a lot more, really getting ready for this festival. I don't say this with any disrespect to Bridget or Imbolc or to Lughnasa, but Bealtaine and Samhain to me really are the most potent and powerful and important holidays on the calendar of the cycles that we've talked about. Getting ready for that. We're going to make sure everyone is ready for that, whether this is your first Samhain or not.
You're already mid-season at that point. It's here. Like, by the time you're celebrating winter, if you're waiting for the solstice to celebrate winter, you're in the middle of winter. It's cold. It's very dark. It's done. It's here. It's same thing. Like the summer equinox. It's like it's already stupid hot, and the days are forever. Like, and that's why I like the others, because it's the beginning of the season, so you have time to prepare yourself for it.
If there are any other festivals that you think that we should do, we debated long and hard whether or not to do a Michaelmas episode this year and decided not to. Maybe next year. St. Michael and the Archangel is very important in my spirituality. Juggling act, try to figure out what makes it onto the schedule and what doesn't. So do let us know. If you're listening to us on Spotify or YouTube, you can leave a comment right there and we will get to see it, respond to it, and add it to our feedback. If you're listening to us anywhere else that's offering comments, you can leave a comment there, but they will not let us know. So you can then copy it and go to creationspaths.com and click chat, and you can leave it, paste it in there and let us know, because then they will notify us. We will be able to have a conversation with you and take that feedback in. While you're over at Creations Paths, if you have a few dollars you can pass our way, you can join a membership over there. Or if you would like to do that through some other means, you can support us on Ko-fi or Patreon. I am CE Dorset on both, CEDORSETT, and that money really does go to help us keep food on our table and lights on. So anything you can do to help us there is greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody who does that. And do not stress yourself if you don't have any money to do that. Trust me, I understand. I'm in the same boat. But if you know anybody that you think would like the work that we're doing, please share it with them. That helps us out more than you know. Getting the word out and helping people to find this work really does help us out far more than you understand. So if you can do that, do that. All right? I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And until next time, may the power of the one life open your eyes to the joys of the seasons and help you to walk through the many cycles with strength, stability, hope, and spaciousness. Amen.
Amen.